All right, welcome back, and we are set for our second conversation on new minimum wage saga, way forward. Now, we know that the organized labor has declared an indefinite strike beginning today, Monday, June the 3rd, 2024, until a new national minimum wage is announced by the federal government. Now, earlier at a meeting last Friday, the Minister of State for Labor and Empowerment, Nkiru Kaunyujocha, said that the declaration of a nationwide strike in the middle of negotiations is not in the best interest of Nigeria and indeed of Nigerians, as according to her, it only exacerbates the suffering of millions surviving on daily incomes. So before we begin this conversation, let's again get an incisive picture of the situation. And we have a background report, short background report by correspondent Uyemi Ajayi.
The expiration of 30,000 previous minimum wage gives room for a new one, setting the structure for review of the previous and agreement on a new minimum wage. The federal government had inaugurated a 37-man tripartite committee on national minimum wage. Vice President Kashim Shettima, who inaugurated the committee, charged them to ensure the timely submission of their recommendations. The committee, chaired by the former head of the civil service of the Federation, Goni Buka Arji, is made up of members of organized labor, the private sector, the federal and state governments, with May 31 as the deadline. The Nigerian Labour Congress and the Trade Union Congress had initially proposed 615,000 naira, but the federal government on its part insisted on 48,000 naira, citing the inability of the state governments to pay beyond that. The meeting ended in a deadlock, with both parties returning to base for proper deliberation. The rescheduled meeting as well met another deadlock, with which both parties couldn't find a common ground, as the labor unions shifted grounds from 615,000 naira to 479,000 naira, with the government proposing 57,000 naira. This propelled the third meeting, which as well ended in a deadlock, after the federal government rejected the 494,000 naira minimum wage proposed by the labor union, while it presented a 60,000 naira. Exactly on the 1st of June, the labor union announced it is embarking on an indefinite strike by Monday, 3rd of June, after the federal government had refused to yield to its demands. Will this strike bring the expected results from the government? Our guest will be answering this question soon.
Thank you very much, Oyemi Ajayi, for that report. And we have a guest in the studio to talk more on this organized labor strike. Dr. Akongbe Oluwabamidele Moses is a research fellow, Institute for Peace and Conflict Resolution, Abuja, and also the chair, Academic Staff Union of Research Institutions branch. You're welcome to Good Morning Nigeria.
Thank you for having me. Good morning.
All right, Dr. Akongbe, let's just have your thoughts on the present situation for now. I know you have been following the situation right from the onset, and what are your observations? Let's get what are your observations?
Well, thank you once again for having me. It's very important for us to actually lay a foundation of all this and to know where it all started from. Tripartite was set on board for us to look at the whole thing, but unfortunately, we are unable to arrive at an agreed minimum wage. What we need precisely, of course, the living wage, which the Labour and the President, of course, agree upon. But again, it's important for us to understand that even if we can't have a living wage, let us have something tangible to go home with. The current 60,000 naira can't take us anywhere. That is the truth of the matter. The economy is actually biting hard. There's a lot of hunger in town. People are actually hungry. There's poverty. That is the truth of the matter. So we can't move forward with what's on ground. And Labour is willing to engage with federal government. But federal government also need to come around and engage further. We need to come together and engage further. What on ground is not just doable. 60,000 naira can't take us anywhere. Labour has been Labour has put in a whole lot of things into this before we actually arrive on what we have. Though most people will be saying, yes, what they are putting on the table is outrageous, this and that. But again, if federal government actually puts in something more tangible on the ground, it is very obvious that Labour will shift ground and will be able to arrive at something tangible. But now, the strike has started. It's an indefinite strike. Though, it is not, strike is not what we want at all. It's not going to do any of us any good, both the labor union and government. But we don't have choice now.
When you
don't have any...
Sorry.
I want to just follow up on what he said. When you say something more tangible,
Yes.
what is something more tangible?
There is what is called a living wage. There is what is called a manageable wage. There is what is called an acceptable wage, and there is what we call an agreeable wage. A living wage is what Labour propose, and a manageable wage is what they have reduced it to, An acceptable and an agreeable wage could be something within 150, 180, 200. You understand? We can have that and start engaging and discussing. It is important for us to understand this very well. Yes, if federal government said, okay, they can't do that, Labour will come and say, okay, yes, give us your scenario. How did you arrive at what you are putting on the table? We can start with that and move ahead. But 60,000 naira can't do anything. That is just the truth of the matter. We can't go anywhere with that. I'm sure so many of us go to the market. The price of a paint, a small paint of tomatoes. I was in the market last week. I was in the market last week.
I know you. I know clear you voice that.
Once in a while, I go to the market anytime I'm angry. My wife says, okay, don't worry, go. I went to the market. I price. I told those women.
You did?
Yes.
Oh, good, beautiful.
I told those women I will come back when they were saying it's 6,000 naira last, the small paint. I said, okay, I will come back in the evening. I went there in the evening, lo and behold, they say, okay, you are back. We'll remove 200 naira for you. 5,800, the small that we normally buy for 300 naira. So if we can cook a pot of soup with 10,000, a kilo of meat now is 6,650.
Dr. Kongbe, we really don't have the whole time.
I understand.
Yes, we have to really wind up. But quickly, let me just take this news that just came in. And it says that the Transmission Company of Nigeria is informing the general public that the labor union has shut down the national grid, resulting in total blackout nationwide. Now, the national grid was shut down at about 2:19 a.m. this morning, 3rd of June, 2024. So other transmission stations that were shut down by the labor union, this release includes the Gamo, Benin, Ayede, Olorunsogo, Akangba, and Osogbo transmission stations. And of course, this release was signed by Ndide Mba, who is the General Manager, Public Affairs. And that's, again, confirming what we said earlier this morning about total blackout. Yes, Dr. Kongbe, I want to ask you, the meeting yesterday with the President of the Senate.
And the Speaker.
Yes, and the Speaker. The release we hear is that, okay, you told, the legislators that the leadership of the National Assembly that you've heard. What is the body language of Labour now? Because you said you will go back to NEC.
NEC, yes.
Yes. What is the body language? What should we be reading now?
The NEC are already meeting. You understand? They are engaging. They are discussing. Labour is not just one man. It's not just a one-man show, a two-man show. It involves all the organs of various the TUC and the NLC. They need to sit down again and engage further. Probably at the end of the engagement and discussion, we might come out with something that might be acceptable, agreeable between both parties, the Labour and federal government. It might be what we want. It might be what the people want. It might not be
What the leadership of NAS wants is for the strike
to be suspended.
Yes,
I understand.
Is
So that
that likely to
negotiation
happen?
can continue.
Is that likely to happen?
It is possible. There's not to say, labor is not just static. We are human beings. It is possible. We don't want this strike. That is just the truth of the matter. We want an engagement. We want the living condition of average civil servant, public servant to be better. You know, when people can't just eat once in a day, it becomes something else. I'm sure you'll see people that has never asked you for money before. They will call and send messages and that they are really down. It is happening. There is a lot of hunger in the land. But again, we can do better.
So what would be the palliative that will placate labor? Yes, to call off the strike.
There should be a reversal of the increment in electricity tariff.
Okay, those are some of the demands.
Yes.
No, I mean, for now, what would happen for labor to call off strike?
These are some of the things. Let this be on the table that yes, we want to do a reversal of this. Yes, let it be on the table that yes, the National Assembly is now ready to engage and discuss on the minimum wage bill, so that we won't be coming front and back and discussing strike. If it is going to be possible that every 3 years, every 5 years, there will be an increment in minimum without labor and government be engaging on this issue. I'm sure if this can be put on the table.
What about the minimum wage?
The minimum wage will be discussed. It will be discussed, definitely. They might not say, okay, yes, this is what they might not say, okay, they are giving us what we want now. But I'm sure for us to call off now, if we can put in these two on the table, then we can now sit down and discuss the minimum wage.
Say about 100 or 150,000 naira?
Yes, 150. The truth of the matter is this, government might also be thinking that yes, 150 is too big for an average.
Do you think government can afford that? Even if the federal can, what about the states?
That is why, sincerely speaking, the federal government is actually doing a whole lot. That is why we should have an autonomy local government, where local government will be autonomous on their own. If local government are autonomous, there will be a trickle-down effect of whatever is coming to the local government, to the people. The truth of the matter is this: all the resources are being spent both at the federal level and state level, but we are not actually achieving that at the local level. If there can be thorough autonomy for the local government, there will be a trickle-down effect of whatever is coming. Federal government can afford it. Some state government can afford it. Of course, it's possible that not all the state government can afford it, but definitely I can assure you that so many of the states can actually afford 100,000 naira or 120,000 naira.
Okay, so let me also take you on two issues. One,
no, before that, let's call in our comrade to join us. Please come in. You are coming late. Just take your seat.
Thank you. I like that. Comrade, that's okay. Comrade Issa Aremu.
Issa Aremu, you're
just
welcome
joined us.
to Good Morning Nigeria.
Yes.
While you just wait so that they can mic you properly, so we can just continue our conversation with him.
Okay. So, Dr. Akangwe, thank you, Demola, for bringing him in. Right. So, Dr. Akangwe, I'm taking you on two issues. First is the statement of the Minister of State for Labor and Empowerment, and then the other one is the issue raised by the Attorney General of the Federation, Lateef Fagbemi, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, and both of them are in agreement that, going on strike in the middle of negotiations, that's from Honorable Nkiruka Onyejecha, is unconstitutional. It's not in the interest of Nigerians. The AGF is saying, look, you are violating, the injunction by the industrial court, of course, restraining the NLC from taking any industrial action while negotiation is still going on.
But definitely, you also agree with me that, yes, federal government, they are not actually putting anything on the table again. They are static on the 60,000.
No, but Labour was supposed to have given federal government some 2-week prior notice before this.
There was an ultimatum. There was a notice from on the 1st of May.
Okay.
Yes, if XYZ is not done, there will be an industrial action by June. So we've given a legal age of about 30 days before this strike. So I'm not sure the Honorable Minister of Labour herself noticed that yes, there has been an engagement before now that yes, there's 30 days leeway that we should be able to go on strike if this ABCD are not met.
What about the court injunction by industrial court?
The issue of court injunctions are another thing entirely.
Okay.
That can be discussed further.
Let's bring in Comrade. Comrade Isa Aremu, you are welcome to the discussion. Well, we've been on this issue for some time now. I guess we've discussed it more than 3 times on this Good Morning Nigeria, and you've been part of the discussion as well. And see what we have arrived at right now. There is strike in the land. It's like everything is shut down. And is there a way out?
Well, I think, let me say good morning.
Good
to
morning.
all Nigerians, including those who are on strike. Well, I think what we have at hand, shows that when you negotiate, in the condition of economic crisis, it is clear that all the stakeholders are under pressure, legitimately. I've been part of this process for quite some time, as you said. This is the 6th national minimum wage negotiation that we're carrying out in Nigeria. It started in 1981, and then 2000, of course, 2010, 2018. There's one under the military, but in fact, most negotiations have taken place under democracy, because democracy allows for freedom of association, for collective bargaining. So we're also celebrating democratic process in spite of all the tensions. But I want to say that out of this negotiation, this is the one that is taking place under a condition of serious economic crisis. I listened to Ademola when I was on my way, and I think I agree with him. Things are really hard. Inflation rate, is very prohibitive. He himself has become, he's competing with his wife to go to the market. I think all of us do that now, and I think we are being humbled. Even me too. I know what it takes, to survive. So I understand the concern of my comrades in organized labor, NSCT, you see.
But what do you think
know
about this current strike?
Yeah, but you also know that the government is also under pressure. There's crisis of revenue, of inherited burdens and co. And of course, employers of labor in the private sector, the way to do business, cost of business has also gone up. So you expect it, but there are 2 options. Either we all add in positions, and in that case, we have contestation that will not lead to results, or when there is a crisis, we need more cooperation and understanding. So my view, clear, is that we've not arrived there yet, but the negotiating parties have done very well. The committee was inaugurated January 30th by the Vice President. The most expansive 37-person committee. They've been trading figures. There have been offers. There have been counter offers. You are talking of 60, but where we started from. Even Labour has also come down from its offer. So, but from it's not over until it's over. And it can only be over when we return back to negotiating table. I mean, I thought this strike was avoidable, was preventable, if we have strengthened communication. But this is the time for statesmanship, and I'm happy that the Parliament intervened yesterday, the Senate President as well as the Speaker, because in any case, nothing will be passed until it becomes an act of Parliament. So, in fact, the National Assembly also has the power of oversight to find out what is going on in negotiation. And they also have the power to make the law. So I'm happy they've intervened now. And I have no doubt that my comrades, one of them is, and I'm still part of you, must return back to negotiating table.
I want to ask him, you ask him a question.
Yes.
That the AGF has described the current strike as illegal and ineffectual. I mean, and he has responded. I want your own response,
Well, I'm not sure. Well, when you talk of the law, it's a different ballgame. I think
the industrial court gave, according to the AJF, issued an injunction.
It would be nice to invite to our privy to that. Interestingly, You know, that's why we must think of all the parties together. You know, I mean, I know Labour has respect for the rule of law and must have respect for it if it is so. But you also know that minimum wage is legally permissible, you know, pay below which no worker will earn. It's actually legal. It's not the same thing as living wage, you know. And if as I'm talking to you today, the current one is 30,000, and which ought to have been reviewed, you know, since last year, you know, when it was 5 years ago. So when you also talk of legality, there are those who argue to say, you know, have we legally comply with the fact that this has not expired, you know. But again, that would be the interpretation. That would be the interpretation of the, what do you call it, of the court, you know. But legalist or not, what we need to do is to negotiate. There will be spirit of compromises, you know, just the way we did it before. And please, let's get it right. To move from 30 to 60, that's about 100%. I mean, you can't talk of lack of trial. I mean,
are you advocating 60?
No, I'm not.
If you were
far from
on
it.
This side, if you were
I'm
on
actually
this side,
on that side.
Sorry, just a moment. If you were not, you know, DGCU of this national institute, if you were on this side, and you know the National Assembly has said, okay, please, you know, shelve the strike, and they said, okay, let's go to our next meeting, what would you be advising, you know, members of NEC?
What I would be advising would be that there are still rooms for improvement on all the parties, you know, and it's important that all the parties go and relook at the numbers, you know, in the light of the
numbers now. You said not 60. What would be your own?
Yeah, no,
yes.
But again, nothing will become an agreement until it's negotiated.
But you see,
can I give you?
Okay, yes.
You know, I'm just giving you this scenario to say where I was going is that you see, moving from 18 to 30, you can do the percentage calculation. Moving from 30 to, we can also do percentage calculation. In fact, when we got the 18,000 minimum wage, again, that's why I'm talking of microeconomic environment. It was around $95 because there was macroeconomic stability. Or let me go back even to 1981. 125 naira was about $250. You know, so I think all the parties beyond the nominal wages, and I'm for improvement. I mean, any day, any time, you know. I also was supporting our minister to see what can be done, you know, and Dr. Nkiru has done very well to really make sure that we get an outcome. But what is important is also that all government organized labor employers must sit down to tame this inflation. I'm not communicating to create macroeconomic environment that whatever we get, there will be value for money.
Okay.
And that means
asking for
yes,
a minimum of 100. I mean, maybe
between 150 and 200. Because
is that what you're asking?
Yes. You know, because you know, right now that 60,000 is about $40. That's about $40.
Yeah.
So if you now, I mean, what they are asking for is that if, like 5 years ago, it was agreed that 30,000 was about $150 then. You understand? So what we should be having should be equivalent to that. So that's why they are negotiating.
I mean,
I'm not speaking for them. That's what the
and we want your opinion on that.
No, but if we say that we should go back to the,
we're part of this process.
If we say,
but you know, the NSC asked for has come down to 490. So yes, I mean, NSC can even demand for more.
Yeah,
but what I'm saying is that nothing will be on ground unless it's negotiated.
Yes,
government wants to give this offer. That doesn't mean what labor really wants.
Comrade.
But what we get us out of this is to negotiate. We have to look at affordability, sustainability, pay that can also guarantee jobs.
Yes,
because only those who work will be paid.
Will be paid.
And in private sector, they are not like the public sector. I know very well, and I know that all the parties know that we are committed to job creation, and it's important that.
One last question.
No, I just want to.
The government itself has not engaged in downsizing, and the more that you have to know. We've witnessed reforms before in which the first casualty will be labor. This government hasn't done that. And
okay, we have just
what is important is to get rates that will be important to...
Because of time. You said, I mean, they should go back to the negotiating table.
Oh, yeah, I mean...
How long would the negotiation be indefinite?
In fact, this is where,
because that is the
this
contention
is where
now.
I think this is
that
where
is the contention
this is
now.
where my comrades in organized labor have very strong point. You know, we're already behind schedule.
Yeah.
You know, we should be able to value labor labor creates wealth. You know, the wealth of humans is important. So as we are commissioning project, it's also to think of the people.
Okay,
And I think there should be time frame to this discussion.
Comrade Daremo, our
You know,
last question.
yes.
Is 60,000 naira a minimum wage or a living wage for you?
How can you say that? I mean, how can you ask me this question?
I don't know. I just want
Me
to
and
know.
you are
Because I don't know.
Me and you are in the market. Let me put it this way, Claire. What is being discussed is minimum wage, backed up by law. But once you get the minimum wage, it also creates basis to pursue living wage. Because there will be consequential adjustment and the rest of the. And you know,
Anyway,
I mean,
because I know that
Claire,
even the
maybe it's good
president,
for me to
President
see your
Tinubu,
pay
one of
slip.
the
Maybe you even
campaign
earn better than
promises-
me. You never can say.
One of the campaign promises is that he will give us a living wage.
Absolutely.
That-
No,
that-
but
the president said.
I think
what's
it-
your last word?
I've no
What
doubt
should
we
Nigerian-
arrive at that.
What should Nigerians expect from today?
My last word now is that yes, we want to appreciate the president, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Sincerely speaking, he's doing a fantastic job. But the truth of the matter is that the president needs to engage, if possible, a special advisor that will be home-based in the sense that community-based, that will not sit down in the AC, that will move from community to community, that will give the president first-hand information of what is exactly happening, that the president will be able to have an access to direct information. Seriously,
With regards to the ongoing strike, just
now,
in 30 seconds.
in 30 seconds.
Yes, what should Nigerians expect?
I think I'd like to play Robert on that because I also listen to Labour. They are not averse to negotiation.
Yes, we want to negotiate.
Continues,
We want
and
to
I think
engage.
Labour should
We
continue.
want the president. We want the government to call us. Let us engage further. We can't. We are not rigid. We want to discuss. We want to engage. We are not happy with the strike, but it's just the last option.
Dr. Akangbe, Oluwa, Bamidele, Moses.
Let's get the last
I think,
shot
I
from
think, I think
comrade.
clear, it is clear, and I listen to Ademola, including Najero and Osifo, they made the point. Strike is not the end, it's not the means, and they want to return back to negotiation.
Okay.
And I think that's where we'll get the result. I have no doubt in my mind that there will be wise outcomes.
All right.
You know, very well.
All right, Comrade Issa Aremu, DG CEO, Michael Imodu, National Institute of Labour Studies. Although you joined us late, but of course,
There's
as
connectivity.
powerful- Yes,
Even my
alright.
driver has the right to be on strike, so I drove myself.
Thank you, sir, as always. Thank you.
Thank you.
And Dr. Akangbe Oluwabamidele Moses, Research Fellow, Institute for Peace and Conflict Resolution, Abuja, Chair, Academic Staff Union of Research Institutions, IPC branch. Thank you very much. And we keep our fingers crossed and hope that you will go back to the negotiating table so that normal economic activities can bounce back. And that's it for us on Good Morning Nigeria for today. We thank you for watching. I am Claire Adelabo Abdul Razak and Demola.
And you're adding Demola.
No, I said and Demola.
Okay, I'm Ademola Adeyeye. We appreciate your company. Do join us again tomorrow for another episode of the program. Bye for now.